Greetings, everyone. I'm Absolute Zero, and today this trick challenge is a back 270 lip. Now, this trick is interesting because right away, as you can see, I'm trying to figure out what I gotta do in my head to get myself to fully commit to the back 270 to fully lock onto the rail, because I've done this trick before, of course, but I've done it about maybe 2 times, and every time that I've done it, I've kind of cheated it, where I've barely got to the end of the rail, tapped it, and then rode away. But the most cleanest version I had was I hit the edge of the rail, and I slightly kind of reverted into it, which I wasn't happy with. So this trick was always going to be a work in progress, because it's one of those tricks that just anyone wouldn't really think of wanting to attempt, because it's scary and it's hard to commit to. Just the back 270 portion of it, where for practically the entire time it's blindside. You can't really see the rail as I'm rotating, so it's hard for me to really gauge where the rail is going to be and trust myself that I'm going to land on it. Right there, for example, I thought I was going to be able to just go for the 270, and instead I did a 180 and almost 50 and almost died. But it's one of those tricks where I really psyched myself up for this. And I kept telling myself, I just got to get on that rail. I got to figure out how to get this fastest spin. And another thing that's in my head the entire time as I'm trying this is I'm telling myself, as I'm rotating, I want to land more on my back foot, my left foot. Because I know that if I land on my front foot, the board is going to tilt towards the nose. It's gonna nosedive, right? So I know I have to get my back foot on there. So a lot of times when I'm thinking of that, sometimes it leads to an under rotation, and that causes obviously a big problem for the trick, because this trick is really just all about rotating getting the right shoulder. Let me see if I've got this right. So right shoulder has to go back, left shoulder has to turn in towards the right. And I think you most likely would see that anyone that's done a backside 360 on flat ground knows they have to turn their shoulders to gain some extra momentum almost, in order to get the 360 to work. You can't just or the 270 in this case, but the 360 in general requires that as a prerequisite in order to get more momentum and more rotation in the trick. It's not just all scoop. And so anyone who has done that knows that. And I think as I was attempting this right there, you can see I moved my shoulders, and they helped me get the rotation, and I was right on there. So that was a key component to this, as well as just getting a feel for it, the timing, where it needed to be, and how I was gonna be able to get myself to fully commit. And right there, the problem was I rotated, I locked in the back truck, or further towards the back truck, and I left a wider gap towards the nose, and a nose dove. It's weird. Kind of a weird word right there. So, of course, with everything, I had to just keep attempting it, and it's one of those things where sometimes, even if I do necessarily have a good idea of what I need to do, executing it is an entirely different story. I struggle a lot with battling fearful tricks, and like I said, I've done it before, but I've kind of cheated it. So the idea here is to get more on the rail, so to the point where I'm actually on top of it and balancing it, versus just 270ing tapping, landing, and reverting it. I want to be able to land fully on the rail. And that's what was scaring me the entire time. I was afraid that if I didn't fully land on it, I was going to somehow, I don't know, roll an ankle, or it would slide weird, and then maybe I might, the fearful things that comes with skateboarding. And especially with skating a rail, the worst thing that can be done or happen is landing on top of the rail. And I don't just mean with the trick, I mean just the body alone, the impact, or just generally getting hurt. That's the thing always with this. So right there, for example, this just I couldn't get myself to do the back 270 properly, and that happened a few times throughout it. But I've attempted this trick. I've been thinking about this trick a lot, and it's just one of those things that once I fully commit and figure it out, it's gonna be a fun trick. Right there, that felt great. But I didn't lock in fully balanced on top of it, so I wasn't able to kind of roll away. And so battling this trick for as long as I did, it took me about 45 minutes in all honesty. So that's just about the regular amount of time I spend trying to learn some of these new tricks or get them down or figure them out. Usually it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. If it's something that generally scares me, or I'm just not fully prepared for. So yeah, this trick took me about 45 minutes, and you're going to see that eventually when I do land one, it still was kind of it wasn't up to par, right? So I had to do it again. And then luckily enough, I got myself to the mindset where I was just fully primed and ready to get onto the rail and just completely go for it. Now, because I'm completely nitpicky, I will say this. Even though I did finally get a way better version of the back 270 lip, it's a lot cleaner. I did right away a lot better. I wasn't entirely happy with what I saw, because something that I like to do is I like to not only just ensure that I improve on tricks that just aren't where they should be. I like to really look at them in kind of like a slow motion kind of way and just kind of see what's going on with my feet. And with this trick, it's difficult to, and I'm not really good at back 360s in general, or they're not super consistent. I can do them off course on flat ground, and I'm one of those guys that I fully rotate my back threes on flat ground. Like I pop in the air and I get it all to spin in the air, luckily enough, through enough training and practice. But I've never been, back 360s aren't one of those tricks that I enjoy doing, because when I do them, there's the landing right there. So as you can see, it wasn't perfect. So immediately I went for so of course what I was saying was the back threes. I'm not entirely happy with my back threes. I've always kind of tried to work them out and try to get a perfect back three where, for example, both feet are glued to the board, kind of like a pros.